Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Hello and welcome back to Talk Scottish Football, episode number 74. As you can see, I am joined by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan McGinley.
Thanks for having me again.
How are you, mate?
I'm doing very well. Very, very positive about the way things are going in terms of my team anyway. But do you know things are good?
Mm-hmm. Big up broth, man, so he is.
Yeah, Dick Campbell. Got to be.
Big dick, all the time.
Big Dick energy.
And also today we are joined by a myth, actually. Just myth and legend. Adam Kennedy. You may have been acquainted with him during the Championship show, now deceased, I believe. No, Adam.
Yeah. It's because his team's not in the Championship anymore.
Exactly.
I'm still here, bigger and better now, boys.
How are you? You've been gagging to get yourself along to the studio. You're now finally here. How are you liking it?
I listened if it's been long overdue, but yeah, chuffed to be here, and chuffed that Hearts are actually in a decent position to be able to talk about them. That's quite nice. Makes a change for TSF and my discussion with my beloved HMFC. So no, good.
What did you think about the preparation today? The lads, McGinley and myself, getting the tripod and that up and going?
Second to none. You know, it's sheer professionalism.
So
every
professional.
time that I've become associated with TSF.
If you could use one adjective to describe our tripod today, McGinley, what you saying?
Pisa. That Leaning Tower.
Let's hope it doesn't fall.
Well, I mean, the Leaning Tower of Pisa's never fallen, so
Exactly.
if it's doing that, then it's got a good example, or it's.
Now we have got a few things to cover here. Last week, Ryan 118, Ryan Fitzsimons tested positive for COVID-19. As a result, David Buick was what do you call it? Close contact. So he's been isolating as well with Ryan in the same bedroom, are they? Same bed? Or is it just same house? Alright, I picked that up, Ryan, I think.
Bunk beds, is it not?
Is it no bunk beds?
I think
Who's
so.
top and who's bottom, would you say? Kennedy?
I reckon Buick's on bottom.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't even want to get into that, to be honest.
a big-
You knew what you were doing with that
I know.
question.
That is. So hopefully the guys are alright.
Well, Cameron's in there as well. The three of them.
Cameron as well.
Aye.
He's there, so hopefully he's alright.
Three fallen soldiers.
Yeah. And also, we've got other things, bigger and better news to talk about, lads. TSF has managed to make it to the final of the Best International Podcast on the Football Content Awards, an annual show celebrating some of the best football content out there. Best and TSF, I didn't think we'd ever put in the same sentence, McGinley, but
I mean,
we've somehow managed to make it there. And what's your thoughts in regards to that?
we're here. We've got nothing to lose. We better just go for it. But at the same time, I do hope we win, because I've just got that winners mentality now.
We're up
Ange just
against-
got me back in that winning mentality. I just want us to win.
We'll see how you are next show, next Monday or whatever.
We'll see. If I'm there, if I'm casually test positive on Sunday.
Exactly. No, it's class, Adam, innit?
It is,
It's
mate.
good.
Yeah, it's testament to the boys. I mean, obviously, I'm a small part of it, so it's primarily you lot that have got us here, and I'm just sort of being carried. But no, it's fantastic, and I think we can be proud of ourselves regardless.
Just being there.
Yeah, why not?
You know what I mean?
Anything else is an added bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
We can build on it next year. Watch this. We
Exactly.
could do them win it. It's in London, by the way, troops. You can vote for us in the comments, the description below. We'll leave a link there if you want to support the lads and get us a few votes on the cards. We're up against some tough opposition, but listen, it'll be a good wee day out down in London. Previous ones were in Man City Stadium, Spursy Stadium, and I think this one's in a Holiday Inn. So we've
chosen the right one.
We've
Budget's
chosen the right one,
been
lads.
hit hard.
The budget's been hit hard through COVID and all the rest of it.
But we'll be there. We'll make a night of it, regardless.
We will be there.
Might
We've
make an arse of it, but we'll make a night of it
already
as well.
looked at flights. Kieran All's looking at the Airbnb. It's going to be good, lads.
it's going to be something. Good or bad, it's going to be something.
Yeah. Moving on to, before we talk about the football, we need to address a massive talking point that's been happening in the last few days in regards to Kyogo. You've got him on your shirt today, Ryan. You've been watching him since he came to Celtic. For the outside looking in, he's worked really hard. He's just here doing his job at the end of the day, isn't he? And he's been subjected to racial abuse. There's a video that came out for a Rangers supporters bus. Supposed football fans on there racially abusing Kyogo. What was your thoughts when you seen that, and what's your thoughts since?
I think seeing the video for the first time, I was like absolutely shocked to see what they were doing. Obviously the songs they were singing and the sort of I don't know if you can call it gestures or the sort of impression they were doing of Kyogo. I was surprised, and then I wasn't surprised, because racism is still rife in this country from all ends, I would say. I've just bashed my laptop there. It's just a guy that's came into this country. He's only been here, a month and a half, 2 months. He's just doing his job. He's been a breath of fresh air in the league, and he doesn't deserve this sort of abuse. Nobody does at all. It's just a shame, really, but I'm glad that Rangers came out with their statement and they clarified it very quickly. They're sort of standing on it. Yeah,
they've banned the supporters club from basically ever getting tickets again, and also those in the video, banned them indefinitely for attending Rangers games, which is, would you say, good action done there by Rangers?
Without a doubt, yeah. I think it's the only option when you're being subjected to racist abuse. This sort of stuff really actually depresses me. The fact that it's still ever present, as McGinley says, 2021, and yet we've got, it's down to football at the end of the day, and he's being subjected to racial abuse. It's just embarrassing. Obviously, the Celtic statement, that was a given. And of course, everybody should agree with that. I thought the Rangers statement was also excellent. It's short, but it's concise. There's no beating around the bush. It's straight to the point. And both clubs, I think, can hold their heads high with regards to, obviously, their stance upon it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it sends out a strong message as well. If this is the sort of behaviour that you're going to be coming to football with, then you're not wanted.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and there's just absolutely no place for it. I mean, year 2021. And there's people out there racially abusing somebody just because they play football.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's just because they're in a different place than where those people are from.
And I seen Ange Postecoglou talking about it on the Celtic socials. It popped up, and it was on the radio as well.
Yeah,
thought he spoke ever so well, and something that stuck out to me, that he says it was almost like a father figure when he spoke on it, and he says it hurts because he's the guy that brought him here at the end of the day. And he's a good young lad, and he just doesn't deserve something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. That 3-minute video, I think I had goosebumps for the majority of it, because that's exactly how I want my manager to be speaking. Not to sort of point score about other managers or anything, or any previous managers that we've had, but he is just representing us in the best possible way. He was so clear in what he was saying. His message came across so clear, and he's really good at speaking with the media and in one-on-one interviews as well. I like that he's kind of taken Kyogo under his wing, because he's obviously brought him here. It's a good sign that, I mean, Kyogo Instagrammed out that he would never walk alone. I know that sounds a wee bit cringy and sort of cliched, but it is true. It's good that he's got people in his corner. He's got basically the whole of Scottish football, I would say, in his corner just now. Everybody's behind him, and I hope he just gets the support. If he needs the support, I hope he gets it.
This is constant though at the minute, racial abuse for players, and it's just everywhere. We've seen it during the Euros, to the English players that missed a penalty, the black English players that missed a penalty, of course. We've seen it last season as well, high profile ones with Glenn Kamara, and it's just awful, innit? And what do we do though? How do we fucking stop this?
Well, this is the thing, because I don't think there's any real definitive answer as to how we can actually eradicate it, and that's probably the most frustrating thing. The fact that it's, I don't want to say a frequent occurrence, because that makes it sound as though it is ever present, but it probably sadly is. I don't think this will be certainly the only case of this season. That
leading by example, then the establishments.
I think so. I don't know what can be done in terms of punishing clubs. Is that too much? But then Rangers have said that they're not their responsibility, but
Yeah.
to an extent they sort of are.
Well, the fans are there representing Rangers at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but the club can't be held to that because,
No.
do you know what I mean? They're
It's
not involved
external.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's external. So yeah. So hopefully we don't get another incident of that, like this. I can't say that I'm confident that won't happen.
No.
At the end of the day. So let's move on to the football, lads,
Yep.
because that's what we're here to talk about. We'll start off then with Celtic 6, St Mirren 0, because it was an emphatic performance from
Yep.
Celtic. 6 is a number at the moment, isn't it?
Yep.
That's back-to-back 6-0 wins for Celtic. Kyogo, that we spoke about, he's been stealing all the headlines,
I know.
but another
No
few
goal.
players stepped up to the mark this
Yep.
week, didn't they?
Yeah, Turnbull and Abada especially. Abada, I feel like it's really helping him that Kyogo's taking all the headlines in a good way with the amount of goals that he's scoring, because Abada can just go about his business without really getting much fanfare, but he's certainly getting a lot of fanfare with the Celtic fans. This guy is only 19, he's came in from a different country as well, and he's absolutely bossing it in every game that I've seen him play so far. He just looks... He looks like he's basically taken James Forrest's place, and that would have been unthinkable a couple of seasons ago. He's just it looks a steal for $3.5 million. That it's amazing how positive he is going forward with the ball. His first thought is to just attack the fullback or attack the defender. He was brilliant, and then David Turnbull. He had a slow start to the season, but he's making up for it now. The guy is just a walking stat padder basically. He's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's getting key passes.
Hit the post as well, didn't he, right at the start?
I was watching the highlights again last night. I didn't realise how many chances we had. You look at the stats coming through at the end. You're seeing we had over 30 shots, which is absolutely mental. And a lot of those shots are outside the box because these teams are sort of putting 8-9 men behind the ball. And I know there's been a lot of talk about, it would have been a different game if they had 11 men. I don't think it would have been, because we just seem to attack these teams whether they have 11 men or 10 men.
Just on that, Adam, Alan Power goes in recklessly on the man that he's just spoke about there, Turnbull. There has been a little bit of debate whether it is a red card or not. It'd be unanimous in that it's a red card.
Indefinitely, yeah, 100%. I don't see how any potential debate arises. The funny thing for me is the fact that he seems to be protesting his innocence, despite the fact that if David Turnbull's leg stays there, it's probably going to end up broken. But I mean, Alan Power's just one of those combative midfielders, isn't he? Middle of the park.
That's one word you could use.
It's the type of challenge that you'd expect from him. So, yeah, I don't think he can have any complaints, despite him hilariously protesting his innocence.
St Mirren were already up against it. The manager, Jim Goodwin, tested positive for COVID-19, so he wasn't there. I believe some of the coaching staff as well, maybe the assistant manager or something along the lines.
It did look a wee bit bare, aye.
Yeah, some of the management, they weren't there as well, so we're already up against it. Jack Alnwick for the first goal probably should do better for Abada, but if you don't shoot, you don't score. And then Power goes in and does that. He's one of the most experienced, if not the most experienced in the team. He's been given plaudits for a good few seasons now for his consistency and all that sort of stuff. We know that he's got that in him, that silliness, but when you're 1-0 down, no manager on the sideline,
You're on a
It's
hand to
reckless,
nothing,
it's-
ain't you, really?
Exactly.
Celtic Park especially, it's difficult enough with 11 men. I don't want to talk us up too much so early on in the season, but I mean the difference between last season's incredible. So if you're playing for 11 men, you need to kind of do your job defensively, but then with 10 men it gets even more difficult.
Never mind last season, the last few weeks.
I know. I know, since we played Hearts, it's like we've had a complete U-turn in terms of our confidence, and it's the chance creation that I think is the difference, because we had a lot of the ball against Hearts 3-4 weeks ago, but we didn't really have the chances to go along with it. Now all of a sudden we look really dangerous. We've got Edward taking chances, we've got Kyogo taking chances, Abada's looking like a real find, Turnbull's taking chances, and it's no surprise that we're scoring 6 goals. And I thought we could have scored more than 6 goals. You watch some of the chances we had. Kyogo had a couple of absolute sitters. He misses
The
a
one
couple
at
of
the back
sitters
post.
again. Aye.
That's only because I subbed him in on my fantasy team that he's missed these.
Let's
I put him as a
talk about
captain.
that.
I put him as a captain.
I think
So did I.
95% of everybody put him as a captain, to be quite honest, so the less we talk about that, the better.
Yeah, let's move on.
I also ended up changing my vice captain from Martin Boyle to get 7 points to Tavernier that get 3.
I put mine as vice. I put Tav as
Disappointing.
as well.
I've been loyal to
Disappointing.
Boyle, actually.
Loyal to the Boyle?
I've kept him.
We'll go on to the Boiler,
Which is
because
shocking,
he's
given that
flying
he's,
the now,
you know,
isn't
a Hibs player,
Yes,
but
he
he
is.
is just their main man.
Yeah, so after the red card, Celtic really kicked on, but St Mirren fans will kill me if we don't mention the offside goal.
It's fair.
That, you know, it should have been a goal, shouldn't it, McGinley?
That's just poor refereeing or poor linesman.
Shock.
I know.
Shock horror.
I mean, that Ralston's playing him on. Curtis Main is miles onside.
It's how obvious it is as well. It's alarming.
It was the delay. I remember being at the game. It didn't look offside when I was at the game watching it, and then people at half time were saying, "Oh, he was onside. He was about a mile onside." No, you got to call a spade a spade. It should have been a goal. It should have been a goal for St Mirren. You never know what could happen if they scored and get back in the game, because Celtic recently haven't been great when they've been put under pressure. So obviously they made the wrong decision, the referee and the linesman.
Yeah, you would imagine that Celtic would have still kicked on and went on to dominate the game, of course, because they were creating a lot of chances at the end of the day against 10 men and all the rest of it, but that could have been a lifeline for St Mirren. So the referees and the linesmen and all the rest of it have got to be better, because it was just so obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is another clean sheet for Celtic, Adam. This is something that wasn't happening a lot last season. Will this give that defence confidence? And how much of a big part would you say Joe Hart is in that? Because I've seen people talking about the fact that now they've got a goalkeeper that's actually got arms and can save some shots. It gives the defence a whole lot of confidence as well, doesn't it?
Without a doubt, mate. I think McGinley even alluded to it earlier. You know, the defeat to Hearts was probably the best thing that could have happened for the Celtic board in order to kind of get these additions in with Joe Hart, James McCarthy, the right back whose name's escaped me, the Croatian, that's the fella, the Croatian boy. And yeah, I think there probably will still be a few more to come. And look, it's momentum, isn't it? Clean sheets. That's what they'll be taking from it.
Yeah.
Despite, you know, I still think they are a little bit frail, particularly when I see Near Beaton in there. I'm not overly convinced by Carl Starfelt yet either.
Yeah.
So it'll take some time, but certainly it's building blocks, isn't it?
Adam touched on the new signing there at right back. Will he be a big addition to this? Although Ralston has been really good in the last few weeks, I think for me, from the outside looking in, I think he's cemented himself as a squad player at least. Celtic, you know, he's proved he can step in and he can do a job there. But you think this guy's going to take it to the next level?
I think so, yeah. Although Ralston has arguably been our best player this season, when you look at the performances from the start to now, even in the games against Midtjylland and Hearts as well, he was one of our best players early on in the season. He's totally merited his year contract extension that he got. A lot of people were sort of doubting whether he deserved that. They thought he should have been let out. I know he was the only right back we had at that point, but I would go as far to say he deserves a renewed contract even now, another 2-3 year deal, because he's been phenomenal. But it's
just crazy to think that, considering the attitude towards Ralston at the beginning. But it just goes to show you what can happen.
It's because it's a manager that believes in him and believes in the hard work that he puts in. It's obviously coming back out. Or it's reflecting on the pitch rather. But that's Juranovic. I've watched clips of him, and now I know you shouldn't really look into him a player too much on YouTube and that by the clips, but he looks an absolute player, and a steal at 2.5 million as well.
He's an international as well, I believe.
Yeah, he's
2.5 million. That's decent.
10 appearances for Croatia. He played against Scotland.
Featured in the Euros, didn't he?
Aye. Played the whole 90 minutes as well. Legia Warsaw, I think the reason we got him is because there was a release clause in his contract, because Legia Warsaw got him for quite cheap from Hajduk Split. It was even last season, because he's only been at Legia Warsaw a year and now we're just picking him up. So we're getting a player that's in his prime as well. That's another great thing about these signings. Kyogo's 26, Karel Starfelt's 26, Juranovic is 26. These are all guys that aren't projects that can come into the team and do a
senior
job just
pros,
now.
You know, so they're going to come in and have experience, and you know,
and they can play the inverted fullback role, which is absolutely brilliant. So it suits us.
Established individuals, that's what you're after, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
For a team collective.
Let's move on to the other game that was on Saturday then. It was Livingston 1, Motherwell 2. A much needed win, you would think, for Graham Alexander. He's came under a little bit of criticism for the fans. Me personally, I've been on here, I've been saying I don't think all the problems are solved, but I thought it was a wee bit over the top considering how well he done when he came in last season. And the fact there's been so much of a turnover in personnel. So they get a big win. That's massive for him, isn't it, Adam?
And ultimately, these are his additions. You know, prior to Saturday, I was actually starting to question, has Graham Alexander done better with the squad that he's inherited than the squad that he's created, which is bizarre. But a massive win for the Well, and obviously coming from behind as well. Did they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Forrest scored.
Yeah, that's right.
There was shades of his
Had to
brother
have a
that
wee
you could
double
tell they
take
were
there.
related with the goal.
It was very, very similar to sort of James
Great
Forrest goal.
finish as well, by the way. I had to do a wee double take there, but I think, look, for Motherwell, I didn't anticipate them going to Livingston, because that's a tricky place to go at the best of times as well.
Yep.
To come from behind, obviously now they're off the mark, and they'll be looking to build on that in the coming weeks, I'm sure.
Two players that totally changed the complexion of the game. Tony Watt especially, and also Liam Grimshaw playing in centre midfield. Heard Mother fans talking about him. He played it right back when he first came in, but I never knew this, but he's actually of today a centre midfielder, and apparently did a really good job over the course of the 90 minutes. He obviously gets a goal as well. Talk to us a wee bit about them, McGinley, Tony Watt and Liam Grimshaw for star performers of the weekend.
Tony Watt's always got that bit of like a enigma in him. He's always got that bit between his teeth. Once he's fully in form, he can always get a goal or influence the game positively for his team. Grimshaw was great as well. Watching the clips and sports scene, he was involved in basically everything good that Motherwell done. And they had a lot of chances in the second half, and I think they deserved a win at the end of the day.
That's got to reflect back on Graham Alexander as well there, because he's identified Grimshaw. I think he can do a job in the middle of the park. He's put him in there, and he's went and bagged the winner at the weekend. So fair play to the manager there. Just to pick up on Tony Watt again, that's his, I think, second goal of the season, second in as many weeks.
Yeah, it was
He's
McDermott, wasn't it, that he got the equaliser?
The volley off the bench. Started the first game, he was dropped for the second, he comes off the bench, he scores, and he's followed up again starting this game scoring, and also was the one that had the shot that came back out to Liam Grimshaw on his goal. He just peels off the goalkeeper, didn't he?
Real poacher's effort.
It's a classic one. I used to love standing there. Did you ever do that? Just stand in front of the goalie, see the amount of chances and goals you get. If you're a striker, you just do that every time for me, if you can't header the ball very well.
And yet Tony Watt, I don't really think that's his game, to be honest. He seems to kind of drop in the pockets between midfield and attack. So I don't know, maybe there's more to come from him. There's no doubt that he is a talented footballer. I mean, we've seen that over the years for countless clubs. Just hope that for his sake he can kick on at the Well. Yeah,
I think the evolution of Tony Watt's been really good. He's been given some hardships. He obviously came into Celtic from Airdrie, scored a massive goal, became this big kind of guy, and it could be hard for a player like that, drop him down again. I know he went down south and earned a lot of money off the back of that, but then he came back up the road, and he did have some hardships. He's went abroad a couple of times, but now he looks like he's found a home in Motherwell. And see, when you look at him, I think he's in the shape of his life.
Yeah, he looks
I think he just looks like he's coming into his own at the moment, and he's still very young because of the age that he broke onto the scene. I think he's 26, 27. So if he can start adding a lot of goals to his game, he could be a massive player for Graham Alexander this season.
His CV is incredible. You look at some of the teams he's played for in Belgium as well. He's up here. Hearts as well, obviously. He didn't have the best sort of spell at Hearts at all. I remember him
one goal, a winner away at Partick Thistle, if my memory serves me.
I remember him playing against Celtic, and he had a bit of a... It was a bit of a sitter of a header that he should have scored.
A bit of a sitter.
I don't want to slag him too much.
Sorry, Tony, if you're watching.
Good Coatbridge boy.
But I think he'll admit that himself, and now he's coming into his own. He is doing really well.
I think he's backed at Motherwell as well. Motherwell have
a family club,
in.
isn't it?
It's a perfect fit for him, I would say.
And also, I think, see now he's got G4 claims on the back of the shirt. That just takes you to another stratosphere as well.
Game changer.
It is. It's
total game changer.
Total game changer there.
Yep.
Got to shout out the sponsors, of course. I think that they've helped us take the show to the next level, in my opinion. That's cutting all the jokes out the way, that. The fact that we're now in here and it's professional as we've got to get it, nobody audio and all that, the listeners have went through the roof. So a big shout out to G4 Claims and G4 Podcast Studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's brilliant, isn't it, the studio?
And I think you really see the difference as well, because Kieran, Ryan and I done the Celtic podcast on Monday there, or Sunday rather. The difference doing it on Zoom to doing it in person is incredible, because you have that wee half second of delay, which is an absolute nightmare when you're trying to make your point. You get like people
talking
coming in
over each other.
It's a nightmare. It's better when you're doing it in person. So the studio is brilliant.
Just going back to the game then, Livingston, worrying for them. I mean, I backed them, Davy Martin. I did predict them as 10th, so I thought it'd be a hard season for them, and I still think they'll be alright, McGinley, But I know the two yous are totally...
We both had them bottom of the
both yous had them bottom, didn't you? And it's not been a great start. The only team not to have a point so far. Yeah,
Yeah.
bottom of the league. Are they on 1 point?
No,
I think they're
they're
bottom.
Or Ross County, not. They've not picked up a point either, have they?
They not get a draw?
Yeah, I think
Oh, so they did off St Johnston. That's
there you
right.
go.
That's
so
right on the opening day.
Livingston are at
Forgot
the
about that.
bottom of the league, Adam. Used to have predicted it. So
It did. I did think the Martindale bubble would burst.
early days though.
But it did kind of bust last season because they had that, obviously, that cup final.
Yeah.
And they were focusing towards
They
that. And
had
it
an
kind of all went
absolute
downhill.
nuke toward the end of the season, and that
That's
was-
because they were top 6 though as well.
Well,
They're
that's
playing
the
against
thing.
all the best
Exactly.
teams.
That's a good
it
point.
literally, it reminded me so much of Hearts under Craig Levein with that distraction of the Scottish Cup final. Kind of just the loss of league form was literally sort of relegation equivalent toward that back end of the season. I also watched Livy a couple of times toward that back end, and J. Emmanuel Thomas looked like their only real goal threat. Obviously, he's away to Aberdeen. I like Bruce Anderson. Don't think he's the answer up front, however. So I just think they need somebody to kind of hang their hat upon, and I don't see that at present. Perhaps Scott Pittman every now and then.
Yeah.
He pops up with a goal or two, but
I've got that down here. Who do you think can change the fortunes? I'll go first for myself. I think he's a really good footballer. Sabald, that went half injured, or Sibbald, or however you say it,
Craig
plays in the
Sibbald.
midfield. Probably the worst Barnet in the league up there. Definitely,
very much is.
it's up there. But I think he's a really good footballer. You know, I think if he can start controlling games, I still think they've got a good midfield. They've got an experienced midfield, and I think that can still get them points going down the road. It will be a hard season for them, but he's a player that stands out for me. McGinley, what about yourself? Can maybe change the fortunes.
Probably Alan Forrest. I mean, that finish the other day was a great finish. It was very much like his brother. The two are very similar in the way they play, aren't they? There's some similarities between the two of them. I think he's a good player. They've got a couple of new players that they're still trying to bed in as well. So I mean, it's early doors. I don't think there'll be panic stations at Livy just yet because they had a bit of a bad start last season as well, and then they turned it round. So
Exactly. David Martindale came in and he totally turned the ship. Holt resigned and it didn't look great for them, and he totally turned that around. And
All they
around
need's
about
points on the
October,
doors.
November, wasn't it, that they began
was
to
it
kick on.
13 wins in a row? It was up there. It was double-digit wins in a row for a club like Livingston.
Martindale was flying at that point.
Yeah.
Aye, absolutely. They had that sort of feel good factor, but they just need to get another couple of wins on the bounce again, and then
See when
see
you
how
watch
it does.
the highlights as well on the SPFL, like just the YouTube channel, and it's not get any commentary of that. I don't know if you watch them on there, but see if you watch a Livy game, Martindale was shouting the full timer. He
can pick
doesn't
him up
stop
sometimes,
me.
aye.
He just gives him it constant. You know, so he won't be letting them slack off really. I heard them talk earlier in the season though, and they did say he had a wee bit of insecurities going into the season because there has been a big turnover. And then the Jet going up to Aberdeen, he was a massive player for them after tail end of last season. He started slow, but that's because he didn't have a pre-season. Now you see him, we'll get on to it, but I thought he came on and did really well against
He did.
came on
Really
against
did.
did
Totally
well
changed
against
the
your
game.
lot. So it is going to be tough for them, but we'll see if David Martindale can turn that around. Got to say as well to the people watching the show, this will be a reaction to the weekend. We're going to have another show later in the week, which is absolutely brilliant. A preview show for the weekend, of course, talking about the Old Firm. And it's good because we've been wanting to do 2 shows for a while, haven't we? And actually, I think when this has been already uploaded, Ryan and David have did a live reaction to the Scotland squad as well. So I'm hoping for a few kind of surprise additions in there. See if you had to just throw, obviously the squad's out by the time this, see if you had to put somebody into the squad that has never been in there before, who are you going for? I've got mine, but I want to see.
I've got mine as well.
Do you think you've got the same one?
I think so.
Do you want to say it in 3, 2, 1 go, and then we'll get
Right, so
McGinley's?
what we're saying on go?
Yes. You do the countdown, McGinley.
3, 2, 1.
Xander
Andy
Clark.
Ralston. Oh.
I'm
Oh, well,
the
that's
same
two.
as Kendo. Anti Ralston.
Ralston in there for you?
I think he deserves it, aye. He's been the most improved player, I'd say, in the league.
Yeah.
In terms of us, anyway.
Aye, we can talk. I was going to get right into there, but there's a lot of options. I mean, you've got Rooney at St Johnston. I think Nathan Patterson still needs
Rooney
to go in that
looked really
squad
good
as well.
the other day as well.
So maybe Stephen O'Donnell falls out. I don't know. It's very, very difficult, innit? And exciting times. Transition into Sunday's fixtures. We'll start off in Dingwall. It was Ross County 2, Rangers 4. Rangers going into their purple patch, Adam, you think?
Potentially. You know, I just think for a side that were so strong defensively last season, to have conceded goals to the only team in the entirety of the SPFL to have not scored prior to the weekend, I don't know. I mean, I think the Old Firm is set up to be goals galore, because I think both sides are capable of scoring, hunters on their day. But at the back, I don't understand where the questions have arisen from for Rangers, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I want to highlight the fact that it was an improvement in terms of an attacking presence up there. I thought Rangers were much improved in that front. The first 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, and you're thinking they're going to just go on and steamroll Ross County here. Joe Aribo's goal was beautiful. He makes a big difference. And then the Connor Golson goal as well from a Tavernier cross, 2 players that haven't really started the season really well, so you're thinking again that'll give them the confidence to kick on, and then it just kind of slowed down a wee bit, and obviously Ross County get back into the game. And you're right, Adam, this is something that it wasn't happening a lot last season with Rangers. They weren't conceding goals like this. I must say the save from Al McGregor that then rebounds is a really good save, but and again, you could maybe look at it and go, it's a slice of luck, just fall into his feet and he puts it in the net. But there's just small wee elements in there that you think Rangers could improve on. The shutting down of the ball, Callahan pulling back to the back post, unmarked.
The parry in the danger area, etc.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just small things. You could still look at it and go, they've not really broke Rangers down as such. And then the second one's obviously a penalty too. But this is just stuff that wasn't really happening last season. So where do you think it's changed really, Ryan, in that front?
I don't know. It's just wee mistakes that are creeping into their game.
Do you think it is just a case of sharpening up, or do you think there is a real problem there?
I think these sort of dips will happen throughout the season for both teams. Obviously, with the crowds being back, I'm not gonna buy into that argument that the crowds are the reason why these
Dingwall's bit not really fierce either, is it? To be fair,
no. That was a hunting. That still is a hunting ground for you guys, man. It's incredible your record.
4-0 last season there. So
4-0 when Ross County have never beaten you before, ever. So
right?
Aye.
It got to the point in 2-0 as a Celtic fan. I was like, I'll just turn off the goal notifications because I'm like, nothing's happening here. But then I seen the 2-1, I was like, oh, is something happening here? Because I don't really expect much off of Ross County. But no, especially Aribo's that first goal is a screamer. He's got that in his locker 100%. I do, as much as it's a Rangers player, I do enjoy watching Aribo. He's long legs
Nigerian
are like
spider.
Yeah. He is. He's mental. I remember we were linked with him as well. It was between Celtic and Rangers. I was like,
usually the case, isn't it?
It is. Jetting in to sign for Rangers, obviously, but no, he's a good player. And it was a good finish and a good header from Goldson. But it's just these wee lapses in concentration that are creeping into the game. But they can be easily eradicated, I think, as well. 2
other players I thought were exceptional for Rangers. Glenn Kamara, massive to have him back in the team. He did pull up at one point, and he ended up getting substituted, so you're hoping that isn't something that carries on, because he'll probably start on Thursday, you would imagine, against Al Ashkart. Fuck.
The Armenians.
Yes, the Armenian lads. He'll probably start that game, but then at the end, then you're thinking as well, you'd want him to start on the Sunday, so it's a conundrum for Steven Gerrard there. But he's so influential in that Rangers midfield. He just gives so much more energy. He's obviously got quality in the ball. He slows the game down when he needs to. He doesn't play a lot of like progressive passes, but when he does, it's usually for a reason, and they're usually quite successful. So he's massive for Rangers, and also Alfredo Morelos, I thought, had one of his best games. Adam, do you think he did alright in the game?
The 2 of them obviously link up for the 3rd goal as well. Kamara dishing it on to Morelos, and it seems it's one of them where it seems to take an age to go in, but it's a fantastic finish.
I think he's even surprised a wee bit.
Sort of going through all that traffic and then eventually sort of finds its way into the corner. But I'm amazed you obviously mentioned the midfield. Scott Arfield comes on, scores, could have grabbed another. And to me, I seem to forget that Scott Arfield was even there. I just feel as though Rangers have got that many options in midfield that, Glenn Kamara could probably sit out the game on Thursday. I know you might not want him to, but he could, to be, fit and ready to go for the Sunday. So I don't think that there's kind of any guaranteed starters really in that Rangers midfield, although I probably would be leaning towards the 2 that you mentioned, Aribo and Kamara.
Yeah, I think that he'll probably will need to go with a strong lineup because of the performance at Ibrox. You know, they gave themselves everything to do, get the man sent off, and they end up only winning 1-0 against a very limited opponent. So you maybe need to go over there now and play a stronger team, but because it is such a massive game for the football club at the end of the day.
It's not worth risking it.
But just on what you touched on there, Scotty Arfield coming on, he says you forgot all about him. He has had opportunities this season and he's failed to impress. There's some people saying they don't think he's maybe at that level anymore, but he's a player that I've always admired. I thought he's been really good since he came to Rangers. He was one of the best players last season. People forget that, up until his injury towards the tail end of the year, and then he never really rekindled that form. So if they can get him back to fighting fit, or whatever you want to call it, match fit, he could be a big player. And also Lundstrom came under a lot of criticism. He was a man that won it back in the middle. For watching him, I don't think he's technically very good, but he's quite athletic. You know, he can win the ball back. So if he can harness those strengths and rather than playing too much, maybe just tie into what he's good at, he could be a decent player as well. So yeah, there's some positives for the game.
Yeah, do you think you still need to strengthen some areas in the next 7-8 days?
I would have loved to. I mean, Bakuna has been brought in, boy from Huddersfield, midfielder. I've seen some Huddersfield fans talking about him. They're saying he's got a lot of potential, he's got a lot of skill. Consistency is maybe something that he lacks. It'd be interesting to see if Steven Gerrard and the management can get that out of him, and maybe he could be a big player as well. But just to touch on what you've asked me there, I'd have liked to have seen Rangers already have strengthened a good couple of weeks ago. I mean, Nnamdi Ofabara was brought in a pre-contract, and of course something showed up, so that was a wee bit of a kick in the stones. Going into the Champions League was also a wee bit of kicking the balls, because I think that the finances that would have come into the football club would have been decent in going out and getting somebody. I mean, they were linked with the boy
of the Champions League itself.
Exactly. So
I think that kind of shut the door on the whole Veerman thing, didn't it?
Because they were talking 7-8 million, and Rangers aren't going to go and spend that this season. I don't think, if they didn't get Champions League. Maybe next season if you win the league and all the rest of it, but it's just it was a wee bit too much after they went out the Champions League. But I want to just pull it back a wee bit to Alfredo Morelos, because I thought it was really good. I thought it was one of his best games in the Rangers jersey. Like, these link-up play kind of showed the overall Rangers, because he looked like he could score a goal. You know, he was coming deep. I seen a stat as well saying that it was his most touches, you know, ever at Rangers. He was coming in deep. His link-up play and all the rest of it was good. He'll be a massive player for Rangers this season, won't he? I mean, there's only a few days left of the window or whatever it is. Rangers have got to keep a hold of him.
I wonder what odds you would have got for both Edward and Morelos to stay at Celtic and Rangers this season, because I think both teams were both teams' fans were resigned to losing them this season. It's mental that they're both still here. I mean, it's good for the league because we get two really good players in the league. It's good for the sort of profile, but it's a bit of a weird one how they're both still here. I thought they've both been gone. Just
on that then, because do you think Celtic will keep ahead of Edward quickly?
I think there's more chances
keep a hold of him. Sorry,
I don't think there's much interest in him, to be honest, or much sort of like concrete interest in him. It's a bit of a weird one because it depends what mindset Edward's in. If Edward's in that sort of killer mindset that he can score 20-30 goals a season, I know he done that last season, but it wasn't his best sort of performance last season, but that was a lot due to the team as well, and obviously the circumstances surrounding it. But if he can sort of play his game, then I've got no doubt that he can score goals for this team. He's already scoring goals this season, maybe not to the level or like 2-3 goals a game, but he's still popping up in games and scoring goals, and I think having players like Kyogo around him can help him. Because
what the hell is that noise?
I was just going to ask you exactly the same thing.
I think David Martindale's out there building the new Livingston training pitch. Going for concrete, so there.
Concrete. That'll be what they're playing in next.
Aye. That's quite loud, isn't it? Jeez, hopefully that stops in a wee second. Let's actually take a break, because that is a wee bit loud.
Yeah, okay.
Pause. The noise has subsided a little, so we're going to get back into the podcast, lads. Just quickly before we move on then, Adam, Ross County scored 2 goals. You know, a lot of us thought, myself included, that... And there it's back on. Brilliant. We're just going to continue. Sorry, lads, if it's too loud. I bet you they can't even hear it. Watch this. It's just because it can hear it.
It's the voices in our head.
Yeah, we all thought that, you know, Ross County were relegation fodder, but they got 2 goals. Is that a positive they can take for the game, for the performance, or is it still...
I think so. It sort of goes hand in hand with a striker at a new club, doesn't it? Now that they're off the mark, it's a confidence boost whichever way you look at it. And yes, they'll be disappointed with having lost the game, but ultimately it could potentially mean kind of a better offensive performance that they've been accustomed to, which is bizarre to think given it obviously came against the reigning champions. So I'd be interested to see their fixtures. I don't know them off the top of my head, but with some winnable ones round the corner, perhaps they've just got to make these opportunities count.
Since you're talking, Adam, let's just move on to it, mate. Hearts won, Aberdeen won. I've not really got a lot of notes on this. I was hoping that you could take the lead and let us know how this game went. Obviously a big Hearts man.
Regrettably. No, I think it wasn't a spectacle by any manner of means, which is bizarre given that it's two of the biggest clubs in the country going toe to toe.
That's exactly what I've wrote, by the way. Basically.
But Christian Ramirez probably should have had Aberdeen in front in the first half. Great save from Craig Gordon. Lovely little link up between three Aberdeen midfield players. I think it was Jenks, Ojo and Ferguson then plays the final ball. Christian Ramirez played through, probably should score, but it's a great save from Craig Gordon. Hearts didn't really carve anything out first half, to be honest. There's a half chance, and I use that term loosely because Josh Ginnelly has a cross which deflects off Johnny Hayes that Joe Lewis, it's one of them where he can't really afford to gamble. He's got to just have that insurance to see it behind. And Hearts probably did more in the first opening 10 minutes of the second half than they had in the entire first 45. Obviously then winning that penalty through Gary Mackay-Steven, which I think is, and Liam Boyce obviously tucks it away.
Emphatic.
This Hearts team last season included, I would dread to think we would be without Liam Boyce, because I genuinely believe he's that good. I think he's starved the service most of the time, and he's still popping up with the odd goal here and there. Yes, the last couple have been penalties, but they all count. And one thing that's been missing from my life as a Hearts fan is a striker that we can depend upon for goals, and ultimately he could be that guy, and I believe that he will be that guy. But we touched on J. Emmanuel Thomas earlier on for Livingston. Completely changes the game for Aberdeen. Conor McLennan goes off injured. The Jet comes on, gave Andy Halliday a torrid time at left wing back, and looked like the main man for the Dons, which again surprises me given that the Aberdeen fans don't seem to have really taken to J. Emmanuel Thomas.
Really?
With what I've been reading anyway. And I think from the moment that Hearts took the lead, bizarrely, rather than go for that second and try and kill off the game, I don't want to attack Robbie Nielsen too much, but I think it's
Scott Brown wanted to attack him.
That's true. Like it, isn't it?
But it just seemed so negative, as though we were going to settle for kind of a 1-0 victory at that stage and just allowed Aberdeen to get back into the game. That noise is absolutely killing me. So
I think
don't
that's
know
our
if you can
flight
hear
to
that.
London just about to fucking take off with footies. My God.
Going
There's
down there
quite-
for pre-drinks, aye.
Aye, exactly. There's quite a lot to dissect there for what you've said, but to pull it back then, let's pull it back to the penalty. McGinley, for you, was it a penalty? Because there has been a lot of talk, whether it is or not.
I think it is.
And then it just goes so silent.
There's it away.
It's up in the sky now.
Oh my God.
Mackay-Steven's just quicker than Gallagher there. He gets forward and then Gallagher clips him, which is terrible for my fantasy football because I've kind of I've got Declan Gallagher.
So do I.
Smart minds in that, or maybe not so smart this time. I did think it was a penalty.
Kicking fuck out of people, so probably no.
I'd be screaming for it if it was my team. So yeah, I think it is a penalty.
Yeah. Aye,
But equally, I can see why they're incensed that it was given to an extent. It's one of them that if it's for you, you're screaming all day.
These decisions
tend to
even
agree.
themselves out
Yeah,
across the
I
course
think
of a
so.
season.
You think so?
Sometimes.
It's a hot take.
See, I think that's a lie. I think that's a myth.
I've got a secret blog that I've got just refereeing decisions. You should have seen the abuse I was giving Willie Collum the other day, man.
Aye.
Awful. There was a. It was a.
Thanks
it
for
was a-
admitting your verbal, what's it called,
I just couldn't-
cyberbullying Willie Collum.
I could. It was that. Oh, sorry, I've just done that to my laptop again. That's me getting raging. Even the thought of Willie Collum gets me angry. It was after Alan Power gets sent off and persistent fouling for that. Is it Erahon?
Ethan Erahon in the middle of the park.
Just 5 or 6 fouls without a yellow card. But I'm digressing here. I apologise.
Aye.
I was the exact same for Scott Brown at the weekend, so I know exactly how you feel.
There was a lot of fiery tackles in the game, wasn't there? I mean, Scott Brown was in the end of a couple as well.
He was.
There was
He
the
was, to
one
be
where he leans in and does he elbow Andy Halliday? Aye, probably does, didn't he?
Probably, undoubtedly does.
No, I know that the elbow's there, but I was thinking,
That's because he hurt his
is he
pal
leaning on
Calmac
him?
the other week.
Aye. See, everybody always goes after nut when Andy Halliday gets tackled, man. He just lives in people's heads rent free, which is absolutely crazy. Like McGinley's lives in your head.
Definitely not.
Rent free for
No, he's one of my
no reason,
one of
to
my
be fair.
favourite people over the past 5-6 years. I quite like Andy Halliday.
Oh jeez. No, but Andy Halliday, it's style of player he is. See if somebody does get in hard on him, he'll try and get him a yellow or a red. So I think
He's a
Scott
great
Brown
bet
can
builder,
calm
bet,
himself,
isn't he? He's like
Aye.
one of those sort of mainstays.
And he
He's
went
a
through somebody as
staple.
well in the beginning. Who was it? He went through Lewis Ferguson.
Oh, he did.
Hardy went through Lewis Ferguson, so he loses staunch points for that.
I really like Lewis Ferguson.
He's a top player, isn't he?
He's a top
player. But back to the game here. I've been really wanting to get a Hearts like fans' point of view on this because in the championship, you know, he's won the championship. It ended up comfortable towards the end, but there was a lot of people saying this and that. But I don't know any Hearts fans. Well, I know one Hearts fan, but other than you, I know one Hearts fan. So I don't really get a right gauge of how the mood is over there. Is it a negative mood? Is it a positive? If it's been a good start of the season, or is it still what is the mood over there at Tiny?
The mood. Hearts fans are never in harmony. I'll say that much. McGinley and I had a wee chat.
Broken heart.
I think I wasn't anticipating a great start to the season with the first 5 fixtures.
And now he's a top of the league.
And with 7 points, tied top of the league, I should be chuffed. But again, there's a part of me that just thinks Sunday was just a missed opportunity for us. But of course, I can't really complain too much. I think there has been improvements. Benny Beningame has taken the midfield to another level. I am in love with that boy.
He has a lot of player, isn't he?
What a player.
So I still think Hearts need additions. That goes without saying. But overall, I'm content and happy with the start to the season, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Even, like I say, despite Sunday.
It does seem to be a theme at the moment with Hearts. Like, they do seem to be playing quite cautiously. Seen it against Celtic in the first game. I mean, how deep did you want to go? But it worked at the end of the day, and then they go to just winning.
They were actually getting booed at points
It's
in
mad,
and
isn't
amongst the 5,000 just because of how deep we were against Celtic and not pressing. You know,
if you go back a couple of seasons ago, Hearts were shipping goals. I mean, I remember they were in a relegation dogfight with Hamilton, and Hamilton went to Tynecastle and just wiped the floor with them. Who was the big man up front that day?
Ogbo, is it?
Ogbo.
The couple 2 each. I missed the last one.
Did they end up finishing 2 each?
Yeah, I think we drew 2 each with them.
They won
both
3-0 or something
games.
one time. I don't know.
They beat us through there, but I think we drew both.
A theme in that was with Hearts is conceding a lot of goals. So surely it's got to be a positive now that they're only conceding as much.
I think a big part of that is arguably the change of system. Craig Halkett looks like the player that we had signed from Livingston. Mm-hmm. Obviously, John Souttar coming back is
a big factor in it.
Yeah, of course. And there was a real kind of, I don't know, it was a bit of a tense moment when we saw both he and Michael Smith go down injured on Sunday, because I don't feel as though we've got sufficient cover for either. So it's probably more toward defensive recruits that I'd be looking to, despite, you know, craving that creativity that we didn't have on Sunday, arguably.
As much as I would love to sit here and talk about Benny for another 15 minutes, because he is an absolute player, and I've already been planting the seeds in Adam's mind for Rangers to go and sign the boy. We've seen it before, mate.
Please don't.
Similar type of player.
Very.
Absolute ballers.
Needs to be a record sale.
Came for a good academy.
Could be interesting if Glenn Kamara was to go. If that would be a
Oh
long-term
my God,
sort.
Ryan,
Just
don't.
tease the ball for him, right? We'll take the ball for him. Take him off your hands. For
Talking about-
100, we'll give you 100 grand for this boy.
for one of his toenails, maybe.
That's twice what you paid for Kamara.
Exactly. That is a good deal.
Well, put it this
for
way,
big Robbie Nielsen.
He signed a 3-year deal. I'll be amazed if he sees that out. I'll be amazed if he sees a year out or
Smart
2.
business for Hearts, though, innit?
For
Getting
once.
him in a 3-year deal.
Phenomenal scouting, phenomenal business.
Absolutely. But
once.
as I say, and never really had a pre-season under his belt as well.
No. And I think he'd only really featured in kind of under 23 matches, sort of the is it the Premier League kind of
Under 23s kind of thing.
Aye.
EPL
So,
2.
Yeah, EPL 2. So, yeah, seems a real coup and a real find, and is the type of player that has been injury prone, so immediately Hearts fans are discontent
Negative.
at that. But so far, so good, and long may it continue.
As I say, I would love to sit and talk about him for another 10 minutes because he is brilliant. I enjoy watching him play. He's my type of football player. But we need to flip it a wee bit on Aberdeen, and we'll come to you on this. 1-1, Stephen Glass now kind of in his tenure as Aberdeen manager. What's the changes that you see in the Stephen Glass side that maybe if you didn't for the Derek McInnes one? Obviously, get put at the cup as well the other week there, didn't they, half Rafe?
That was disappointing, but they've got a bit of a different identity now. You get the new players coming in, Ramirez, some of the other players have brought in, the Jet as well, who's slowly but surely coming into his game. He's a really good player. I think it's just fitness that's the problem with him. Once he's fully fit, he'll be fit and firing. But I think it's been a good start for Stephen Glass. Obviously it wasn't ideal coming into the team last season. They obviously had to do his isolation and he had to basically inherit Derek McInnes' squad. So it's clear that the board at Aberdeen are backing him. They're giving him basically all the players that he wants. They've got Scott Brown through the door as well, who's one of his closest pals.
Ramirez is just, I like Ramirez. I think he's done a better with a chance, obviously, but I think he's
a player.
I think he's a top player, mate. I think you can tell straight away, can't you, with some of these guys?
Just before they scored, he sends in a wicked ball that's begging to be stabbed home, and that was probably the warning from a Hearts perspective that it had been coming. But I agree with you. I think with the Jet, it's probably trying to find that correct position, isn't it? Because he was ushered out on the right and was great, but it seems as though it's going to be either he or Ramirez, potentially as a duo, but in this sort of 3-4-3 that Aberdeen play, similar to us, as that sole striker to bring others into play and whatnot.
I like this youth contingent they've got as well. We've got Ramsey, Campbell, Ferguson, a good Scottish core as well, and that
McCrory as well,
McCrory's
still
young as well, and it's handy that they've got Scott Brown to sort of lead them as well.
I
think they're only going to get better.
I think Scott Brown's added a lot as well to that Aberdeen team, mindset for sure, and just that tenacity now. They just don't look like a nice team to play against. They're going to get in your face, whereas before sometimes you just show up, wouldn't you, and you just beat Aberdeen.
I know.
Especially
towards the latter end of Derek McInnes' time.
Yep,
because he did. Sorry for interrupting that. He did have quite a bit of success 2-3 years ago against Celtic and Rangers, but you've seen that sort of go down and down a wee bit. It's probably the right move to get him out the door and bring somebody fresh in. Yeah, that was a big thing. A big criticism with Derek McInnes was always doesn't really do it against the top teams. And I think that's something that could maybe change because the mindset's changed for sure. We need to talk about the end as well. We'll leave it on that. You see clips of, it looked like Scott Brown went up to have a word with Robbie Nielsen at first and he didn't take too kindly with it. I wonder what the word was, maybe wishing him well or something, asking him what he was having for his dinner. And they had a wee bit of verbal. Stephen Glass was in the middle of it, trying to split it up. I'd love to know what was said there. If you had to guess what was said, McGinley, what do you think? I don't want our podcast to get cancelled, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But Scott Brown's got previous for doing this sort of thing. I think the interesting thing, Scott Brown's got so many interesting fixtures this season now that he's at Aberdeen, because you add Celtic into the equation, obviously the link he's had, Hibs because he's played there before, Rangers obviously, so many different fixtures that he can look forward to.
He was getting boos for like the first touch of the ball.
From minute one.
It is, but I think he thrives on that.
He loves that.
On then Brown, and then at the end, you probably know more about the how the game was going and all the rest of it that led to this. What happened?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I was sort of high up, but so I get a really good view. But
I'm glad you ended it way up.
But I don't know. I think there was just a general discontent amongst Aberdeen staff anyway, because a couple of Stephen Glass's coaches ended up getting booked. I think I don't know.
Wish I had them on the accumulator.
Just seemed a lot of rage. I don't know what was going on with Aberdeen.
I think Stephen Glass is a bit of a dark horse, by the way. I think he could be a shit
you reckon he could go one?
Aye, he looks like a sort of mobster, with his big coat on. He's got a bit of authority about him. I think Aberdeen have needed that.
I agree.
I think the change from Derek McInnes, the best praise that I could give Aberdeen was that they didn't look as though they'd had that 7,000 mile round trip to Baku. It was probably us, given how poor we were, and how decent they were, having coped with obviously the fixture congestion and whatnot.
Yeah. Right, let's move on now because I'm conscious of time a wee bit.
Forgot about the big signing, by the way, for Hearts. The loan signing. You're talking about one Benny, what about the other Ben? Ben Woodburn?
So disrespectful.
Oh, Big Ben.
That's a big
No, I've got
signing.
that down here
No,
actually.
that's fine,
Alright.
mate. That's fine.
There's there, see it.
That's it.
He's at it. He's trolling. That's fine, mate.
Ben Woodburn,
Solid
talk to
deal,
us about him. Brilliant, isn't he? I've seen a lot of him.
Haven't seen
It's a
him
boy for Liverpool, isn't it?
Aye. Wales as well.
haven't seen him kick a ball, but yeah, it'd be Britain. No, of course.
He's got a stroll the league, can't he?
Arrives with a decent pedigree. Obviously, I think he's Wales' second youngest goal scorer behind Gareth Bale. Liverpool's second youngest goal scorer as well, I believe, maybe behind Michael Owen. But hasn't really found that club to kind of kick on yet. I know that his deal with the Reds is up at the end of the season, so be looking to impress, supposedly on 10 bags a week, so there's absolutely no chance that Hearts will go in for him afterwards. So it's a temporary fix, and hopefully we can find a long-term solution after that. If he does perform, of course.
I'd take 10 Aldi bags a week at this rate.
Is this an open audition for Gerrard's Rangers, do you think, Ben Woodburn? If he's good enough for this league, then...
Good shout. He's maybe put a wee phone call into his mate, like, mate, you take him now, we'll see how he does.
He played under Gerrard in the...
You can keep a hold of Benny as well. You can keep a hold of Benny as well for a while. Just the additions basically at Hearts, innit, for the Rangers team.
Just a feeder club.
Nah, I'm
It's
joking.
great.
I'm joking. Hopefully he comes up and does well. Moving on then, Dundee 2, Hibs 2. Very positive result for
game?
Dundee, and I've got written down here, great advert for Scottish football.
Phenomenal.
A lot of chances in the match, you know, a lot of quality, good finishes, all the rest of it, drama, you know, chances missed, big saves. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Players scoring against their former teams as
And
well.
celebrating.
I
I was
know.
surprised at that.
I like
fan
that.
of
Do you
that.
know?
Love
Big
that
fan
for
of
the
that.
cum dog.
Did you expect him to do anything different?
Also, right, I'm sorry if Josh Doig watches this podcast, but he scored on Josh Doig, and we all know what he's doing in his spare time. The cum dog.
That's a controversial take.
That must have been an awkward dinner
Shagging all the
afterwards.
Doig
Whoa,
family, man.
hey, Jesus. Fuck yeah, he's never coming on the podcast.
I said what we're all thinking.
Good finish, wasn't it? I just loved him.
It's not the first time you said that.
He takes takes it with the right foot, didn't he? He just passes it to his left. I love that sort of. See when a striker just kind of like Defoe of old, and still obviously. So when
Like
he
just
just,
against Welsh last season,
aye, exactly. When he just puts it onto the other foot and puts it in the back of the net, I love a finish like that. You were talking about Cummins at going into the season. I rectified my point. I think he score goals if he plays, but now he's in and he's scoring goals, and it's good to see.
Yeah, he's known for this. I mean, maybe more so in the Championship than the Premiership, but
Yeah.
he scores goals. He's a poacher, and he's a character as well. I like having a character in around the league. There's plenty of them now, which
Can't
is
help
great.
but like him despite his previous allegiances.
I know. Do you know what? Always, you see, whenever he does that celebration with the Joker hand, I always think there's a Rangers fan out there that's got that on him. That tattoo.
The Joker, probably.
No, there actually is.
Is there?
There was actually a news article and he's got it. This was.
Love that.
Was he on loan to Rangers from?
Aye, he was on
Forest?
loan, aye, that's right.
Aye, and a guy's just walking about with that with a Dundee player's tattoo.
I love that for him. I might get a henna of that as well myself. If the cum dog scores, right, 12 plus league goals this year,
12.
right, I'll get a big henna and I'll wear it for a month straight to the Joker.
Just doing that.
I might get a
constantly.
sack, but not that, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Right,
For the part. It's for the part.
It's for the part. Hibs grew into the game. They end up getting a penalty. Boiler puts it away. He just signed a new contract after Aberdeen tried their luck to try and sign him. What a good start to the season Martin Boyle has had, hasn't he? And
6
also,
goals in 8 games or something like that.
see if he can just.
In all
I know
comps.
he added goals and assists and all that to his game last season. But it just seems like this season he took it to another level.
I think it's also massive with Christian Doidge ruled out until the new year that they've got somebody alongside Kevin Nisbet. Even Kyle McGuinness is sort of
And
chipping
also
in with
Scott,
goals as well.
he's came in
James
on
Scott.
loan, who started because
He looked
Nisbet
quite
was. I thought he'd look good, but his finishing was a wee bit off. I don't know if he was just a wee bit, rusty.
That seemed to be the case at Motherwell as well, though, when he
that
sort
right?
of first broke through. No, I think it sort of speaks volumes about Hibs in that they've arguably been involved in 2 out of their 3 games in the Premiership have been really entertaining games against Motherwell and now Dundee.
Yeah.
And goals galore in both, because Hibs have numerous match winners. But I think there's still questions to be
leaky.
asked, at the back.
I thought the Porteous goal was really good as well, though, Ryan. Worked really well.
It's a striker's finish, isn't it, from Porteous?
And I had them on over 2.5 goals, so I was buzzing off that.
There you go. Win-win.
Last time I celebrate a Porteous thing.
I know, you're not the biggest fan of him, are you?
It is.
He's a bit of a wind-up, isn't he? That was a really good finish. Yeah, of course.
When's he sell it?
Aye, it was a good
That's some
finish from
finish.
Porteous. Aye.
Great goal.
There was a lot of good players in that game. I thought Paul McMullen especially was brilliant.
He was exceptional.
Yeah, everything good that was coming from Dundee was through Paul McMullen, and he's got previous for that because he was good for Dundee United as well in the
Yeah.
Championship. That was
There
a
was
great signing last
Great
season.
signing on a pre-contract as well.
Absolutely. There was a chance, just to highlight McMillan, there was a chance that he had from the edge of the box where he just turns Gogic inside out like a plastic bag, and everybody's been talking about Gogic has been brought in as the enforcer, and he does a really good job at it. So for him just to do a wee shimmy and get past him shows he's got a wee bit of ability, and I thought he had a great game. We'll get on to obviously his cross that got the equaliser as well. He's probably my man of the match, to be
Yeah.
quite honest. I thought it
Mine
was
too.
exceptional. But before we do get onto that cross, I thought that Hibs should probably been out of sight after the Porteous goal. You know, Murphy had a chance at
The
the back
Murphy
post.
miss, talk about that. That is
a bad one.
that is literally
I still think his
the
legs have
chance to
recovered.
seal the deal.
He's just got dead soft legs now, you know. He used to be a brilliant finisher and all that, but after his
Won the
ACL,
pen as well, to be fair.
yeah, he is.
But-
Murphy's a good player, and he could be a big player for Hibs this season.
Yep.
But he's missed a couple of high profile chances now. He missed a good few in the Scottish Cup as well. Hit the crossbar, wasn't it, or the semis or something. So he needs to brush up on that for sure. He should have put the game to bed basically before that cross from McMillan. But brilliant scenes as well when Dundee get the equaliser. McGowan, that has spent pretty much his full career in the top flight of Scottish football after dropping at the Celtic Academy, back up, comes off the bench, scores a header, celebrates with the fans. It was great scenes at Dens.
Yeah, Peter Pollock would have been happy to get a yellow card off of that as well, because
Great
he got this the
transition.
exact same. Honestly though, the only thing I can say about Paul McGowan, and I know it gets mentioned a lot, he needs to shave that off. That hairline
I was
is an
thinking that,
absolute shocker.
see when he was celebrating, it's so thick around the sides, isn't it?
Aye.
It's clinging on for dear life.
It's
isn't
clinging, right, but it's so thick at the sides. Maybe he's just hanging on to that.
Get a wee
Maybe he could do
transplant,
a wee shouting.
Aye.
Dundee need to up the wages,
I
I
was
think.
saying, what a wee kind of island up the top.
It's a shocker.
Don't let him hear you saying that though, because he is the angriest
Oh,
man in
no.
football, isn't he?
He definitely
Not
is.
wrong.
But
I was in the same pub as him once too. He was in Coatbridge for some weird reason. I don't know if he's got family there or something, but
Right.
he didn't have a tag on, or I couldn't see anyway.
What a wild night
just
out
had
with
thick
Paul
socks
McGowan.
on. I know. I'd
It's a
love to.
fashion accessory now.
We'll need to ask him if he wants to come along to London. Actually, that could be quite good.
Is he allowed?
Oh, definitely not Australia. But quickly then, last wee bit. Dundee, great week for them. Put Motherwell out in the cup. Get a draw against Hibs. Can they kick on for this now? Because it looked like curtains, didn't it, after their showing at Parkhead?
It really did. But I labelled Dundee as the Championship's entertainers last season, given, you know, they could score plenty of goals on their day. However, a bit like Hibs, they can concede plenty on their day as well. So a couple defensive additions. I actually like the keeper, Adam Legdon's. I thought it was a really good save from Jamie Murphy, despite the fact that he should score.
Yeah.
Still
got to make a save, haven't they?
But maybe a centre half or two away. And to be honest, I think Dundee are going to be fine with regards to staying up.
Yeah.
I know McGinley tipped them for top 6. I thought that was a very hot take. And there's an unpredictability factor that could
That's the
see
reason
them.
why.
Yeah, I get the logic. And should they tighten up at the back? I think. Listen, you don't know. They may well could, but they
never
won't.
know.
They won't get dragged into trouble. No way.
On to another Dundee team. Dundee United 1, St Johnstone 0. We might need to fly through this because we are running out of time. But Tam Courts gets another victory. Early on in the season comes under a bit of criticism, but again, we've got to remember how early it is in the season. He's responded really well. There was something I said earlier on the shows, not this show, but previous, where I thought, where's the goals coming from? Where's the creativity coming from? I think in the last couple of weeks, and you could have seen for this St Johnstone game, they're creating a lot of opportunities. You know, they've added McNulty now. They've signed him on loan again, his 75th loan deal somewhere. And it's looking really good for Dundee United.
Yep, absolutely. I just want to give a shout out to Charlie Mulgrew. I think that looks like an absolute hell of a signing. See both boxes, he's dominating against teams. What age is he, 34, 35, and he's still doing the business. He looks a danger in both boxes. Well, not a danger defensively, obviously he can get the ball away, but
Danger
attacking
defensively,
can be. But he's got a good header on the ball as well. A couple of really good signings. McNulty, you know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get hard work for 90 minutes.
He's sparky.
He's sort of playing that Scott Brown role at Aberdeen, isn't he? Where United have got a pretty young squad, and he's kind of the elder statesman, I guess you could say, at the back, that wise head to kind of carry them through games at points.
I couldn't be happier for Tam Courts as well, because it's one of those sort of managerial appointments that raises a lot of eyebrows, and he's the sort of coach that I want to see succeed in the league, because he's a total left field appointment. I'm glad that Dundee United have went out there and signed somebody relatively unknown. I know he was their director of football or sporting director before.
Known within the club, isn't he? So.
Aye, I'm glad they've sort of made that move, because they could have easily just taken like a safe option and got somebody that knew the league, maybe like a Derek McInnes or something. But they've taken a risk and it's paying off so far. 6 points, can't complain with that.
Yep, it's looking good. It's looking good for them. Not so much for St Johnstone, but do you think they've maybe still get their eye on Europe? And it is hard for these squads. They're not used to playing in Europe, so they've just did Thursday, Sunday, and it is difficult to do. And
it looks wafer thin at the minute for Saints, to be honest. I think their European exploits are a real breath of fresh air for me, but it is sort of proven that detrimental to their domestic campaign so far.
It's something they can regain, I think.
And they're traditionally slow starters. You know, they're not going to get dragged into a relegation battle. They'll probably be pushing toward top 6. But Thursday is massive, because if they make it to a European group stage, for a club of their size and stature, that is a phenomenal achievement, and hopefully the first of kind of a building block that we'll see.
I really hope they
St.
do.
Johnstone
I really do. It was a great result away. Kane scoring another goal, cashed in Money in the Bank, and got his
one Kane that's scored in there now.
Exactly.
It's the only Kane that's scored in there now, let's be honest.
That is.
You're not wrong.
That is. The other one's Gubbed, isn't he? With chocolate ankles.
Yep.
Is that what they call them?
I don't know. I don't even know what they call them.
I thought you were talking about Kane for WWE for a minute. No, just
no, Harry Kane.
No, I get that now, but it did.
He's a mayor. Kane from WWE. Aye.
Some boy,
imagine
man.
That authority.
Some boy.
No, but it'll be interesting to see if they do get through to the group stages, how their sort of league form sort of goes.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you think they would take like a bottom 6 sort of placing if they do well in Europe, or sort of?
I've got to be honest, that's why I'm hoping that they make it, because it's a competitor for us in essence. And of course it raises St Johnstone's profile, the Scottish Games profile. So I don't know. It's a really intriguing one, because obviously they've not really been in this position before. So we'll just have to wait and see come Thursday, I guess.
Teams with like sort of lighter squads. I'm using the English example, like Burnley and West Ham to an extent as well. When they get through to Europa League, it sort of hinders their sort of domestic sort of form. So I hope it doesn't affect them too much. Obviously, I want them to get through the group stages, but I hope that they can balance both.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. Totally agree. Wish them all the best. Hopefully they do it. It'd be great for Scottish football to have a club there in the group stages. Conference League, and also Aberdeen, of course, as well. They were defeated 1-0, but that pitch was atrocious, lads, and I think that they can get the job done as well at Pittodrie. Boys, we are running out of time, but quickly, some low leagues chat. So what I've got written down here, the ones that stood out for me anyway, you can pick up whatever you want as well. Arbroath defeating Thistle 3-1. What a result. Thistle, of course, high flying since he came to the league. Arbroath, part-time, Big Dick Campbell. His interview after the game as well was brilliant.
Tremendous.
Getting told where he was in the league. Brilliant for Arbroath.
Absolutely. I think the only part-time team in that division as well now, given obviously Alloa were relegated last season. So yeah, listen, there's plenty positives from a Lichties perspective, but I don't really know how high the ceiling is for them. You know, he's probably got the trickiest job in the league, and he's done an absolutely tremendous one. Arbroath is a fantastic little lower league journey to have come where they've come from, to be ultimately brushing shoulders with the big boys in the second tier as the sole part-time team in the division. Yeah,
and there was a lot of talk last season. They scored a lot of goals, very well regimented at the back. get them well drilled up there. But this game, high flying, good few goals. Another big game in the Championship, McGinley, and it finished Hamilton 0, Kilmarnock 2. To me, it looks like Kilmarnock maybe just going to pull away now, but very worrying for Hamilton, is it? Is there a chance of back-to-back relegations here?
I mean, you've seen it happen before. These teams just they can't really adjust to being, they're sort of losing most of their games in the Premiership and then going down one. They can kind of get used to getting beat a lot, and you can see that happening, that sort of back-to-back relegation. It's still early doors. I don't really know what their managerial situation was. Have they got a new manager in the door?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it was his first game come the weekend.
I mean, so we still get plenty of time to go. There'll be plenty of points to be had everywhere. So it's again, like Livingston, it's not panic stations yet, but they just need to get a couple of wins under their belt.
Moving down then to League One, Montrose and Falkirk still high flying. Montrose surprising me for sure. Falkirk, of course, were a big favourite going into the season, but the both of them are high flying at the moment, top of the league, doing really well. It's such a tight one down there, League One, isn't it? There's Cove Rangers get a victory at the weekend as well. There's a few in there. Queen's
Airdrie.
Park are up.
It's a great
Airdrie are
league.
starting to
It's a
score
great
goals.
league.
Obviously, our boy Sam Morderup plays with him. Unfortunately, he's got COVID as well at the moment, so everybody can't get COVID,
We're left
We've
out
done a
here.
flow test, lads, so
We're all good.
We've tackled that, but it's such an interesting league, isn't it?
It is, and you really wouldn't be surprised to see anybody be promoted as league winners. I think the interesting thing will be who occupies that relegation playoff place in the Championship, because chances are a side in League One will probably feel as though they can get promoted, which would be, fantastic to see two teams go up from that division, because like you boys have touched on, it's a really competitive league. Lots of clubs that will rightly feel as though they are in with a shout.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a big result as well for Alloa getting the draw, because they now sit mid-table. There's been some murmurs towards Barry Ferguson as well, but that's a positive result for him, because Queen's Park, threw a lot of money into the club, which is great to see, because they're heat and history, and they've got such a good tradition at that club, so it is good to see them kind of kicking on and such. But great result for them getting the draw, and he'll be hoping to kick on as well. Moving down the leagues again, go to League 2 now. Kelty Hearts, big victory again, 1-0 versus Edinburgh City. Kevin Thompson seems to be doing a good job. Of course, he's took over from Barry Ferguson that got them up the divisions. They look really good as well, don't they? Some good players. But Jonas from, who was it, Rangers, scored the goal.
Wouldn't be surprised if it was a back-to-back promotion. I just feel as though, even at the start of the season, the additions, you mentioned Bar Jonas there, Joe Cardle's a fantastic signing for that level.
Yep.
Callum Higginbottom there, Nathan Austin scoring goals. I'll be astounded if Kelty Hearts don't win League 2, to be honest. And I know that it's early days and we can't get too carried away, but just seems to be, a fantastic project to be a part of. And yeah, I was back in Stirling Albion due to family reasons. That was my great-grandfather's team.
All right.
Don't know how. But I can't see past Kelty for that league title.
Are you the same there, McGinley?
Yeah, I think it'll be back-to-back for Kelty Hearts. It's really interesting to see how the landscape of Scottish football is changing with teams like Queen's Park, Kelty Hearts, etc.
Cove as well, up there, Edinburgh City.
Edinburgh City, they've had a bad start to the season. They've lost 3 out of 4. But it's incredible to see the sort of landscape changing. Obviously, you're seeing teams like Berwick and that going down the leagues. I'm trying to think. Brecon. That was the team I was thinking
Keep them there, sorry.
I don't think they'll be getting back up anytime soon, that's for sure. But it's amazing to see how football's sort of changing in terms of the teams that are established now and going up the way. It's interesting. It's good to see some change though as well.
No, absolutely, it's great. It's fresh air for the leagues. It's brilliant now that you can come through the divisions, and because Brecon were just mints for years and
they get away with it.
They get away with it because you can't get relegated. So now it kind of puts a wee bit of impotence as well to the owners to kick on and maybe put a wee bit more money into it.
It's a lot more ambition now, I think.
Aye,
because
absolutely.
the last time they probably seen that was
a glass ceiling before, so you could never get there. You're like,
the last time that happened was probably Gretna, and then we all know what happened with Gretna.
we do.
I was going to say exactly that.
Interestingly, Gretna 2008 are in the Lone League now, so
they get cuffed off in Rangers B.
Aye, they did. 2 of them are flying on at the moment.
Aye. I'm trying to get to as many of those games as I can.
Aye.
A lot of them have been really good quality. Those 2 results, the 10-0 and the 9-1, are kind of isolated.
Although, McGinley, before you tell us about your experiences going to the Lone League games, if you've been aware of the results in years gone by in the Lowland League, there has been results like that. Kelty Hearts were battering teams 9-0 every other week. So they were.
Is there just like a standard? Is there like a sharp?
Aye, there's quite a huge. I mean, you get your teams up the kind of top end that have got some good pros there and all the rest of it. But then as you go down the division, there is some clubs that are still in their infancy and trying
It's a whole facility thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
because there's some players that are on more money in the Lowland League and Highland League than some of the players in League 2 and League 1. It's incredible. It's weird, but it's
and
Scottish
then
football, isn't it?
you go down to the juniors as well, and they're on some players down there on some decent dollars.
It's crazy.
Although I think that's been all restructured as well, so it's an exciting time for Scottish football, man. So it is, which is absolutely great. I think we've covered the low leagues brilliantly there, boys.
Yeah,
I think we've done well. Also,
they'll all be happy.
My last wee note was everybody knows I've got a great relationship with Stranraer. We've got a Stranraer fan, of course, it watches, because I asked the last time, I'm like, is there a Stranraer? Aye, there is, actually.
Fair play.
They get battered off Stirling, so that was good for us, Adam.
Brilliant. What a team the Beanos
3-0.
are. Flying.
3-0.
Absolutely flying.
Brilliant.
Natural order and all that.
Kidding on Stranraer, actually. Don't hate yous, just dislike yous and stuff. But nah. Right, lads, we're going to move now on to the quiz, because it's quite a long show, but you get other podcasts and they're going for miles. They're going for years.
That's it.
Miles.
Miles, years.
Give me some more of that Coke. That'll wake me up. Right.
I've had 2 cans, that's me.
Boys, moving on to the quiz.
Keep 100%.
Right after this ad break.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first.
You should really do that.
You should.
I almost seen a road accident on the way over on the motorway.
Wow.
Some absolute fandan pulling off, like coming in, joining the motorway. Almost took it an old woman. Almost took it an old woman. I was raging. And he's away. I don't know, but he was singing Scooter probably on the faraway lane. Let's do this. Let's hope this is the right button, lads. And it's a quiz. What button is it, boys? What is it, this one?
Yes, here we go. 3rd time's the charm.
Hey, I always need to cut that off early, man.
Have you got a Chris Tarrant impression to accompany that?
No, sorry.
Fair play. All right.
Scheme, Chris Tarrant. That's as best as you're going to get. Right, Adam's obviously first time in the studio. We'll let Adam choose if he wants to go first or second.
Absolutely.
Set A or B, son?
I'll go B.
It's always me that goes for set B. See, he's in my
homework.
territory.
He's done his homework. Question 1 for McGinley. St Johnstone are set to face Lask in the UEFA Conference League qualifying this week, but what place did Lask finish in the Austrian? He's wrote Australian. Oh no, they're the camera away. Will we just go audio only then for the rest, boys?
Aye.
Audio only, lads. Audio only for the rest, for the quiz and all the rest.
This is tense.
This is tense. Right, question 1. You've got it. Where did they finish in the league basically last season?
3rd.
It's 4th.
It was either 3rd or 4th.
They were 21 points behind winners RB Salzburg.
They just dominate that league.
Yeah. Which is not a lot if you consider Celtic were 26 points behind Rangers
25.
last season. 25. 26. Tomato.
Probably with the goal difference, it was 26.
Pretty much. We've also got to give thanks to Matthew Duff, always giving us
What a
Comes up
boy.
with the goods.
Gives us a goodsy boy. Question 1 for Adam to take the lead. How many red cards were awarded during last week's Premiership fixtures? We didn't even cover it. Fucking idiots. Amateurs. And could you name them? You don't need to name them for the points, but maybe just for the
Alan
entertainment.
Power's the obvious one.
Right.
Dundee Hibs, nobody was sent off, are they? Why do I feel like this is a trick question and it's solely Alan Power? No, Peter Pollitt. I'm going to go 2, Power and Pollitt.
Correct.
Thought he was going to forget about Pollitt too.
Right, I'm just going to gear up to the buttons, lads.
Yeah, it's probably better off.
There's another button as well in there that just...
That button.
McGinley only.
We know what button
I shouldn't
that
really
is.
forget about Peter Pollitt because we actually play United at Tannadice.
We've actually forgot to mention it. He scored a great goal and then get
He
sent
was
off.
involved in everything in that game, basically.
He could have played himself.
What a
that
bad
game.
man.
So he could have-
That goal
That
gif
dive
as well.
was awful, by the way.
Oh,
It was
terrible.
Bad. It was bad. He huffed somebody just before it as well. He should have been sent off already.
Aye.
Right, McGinley. Question 2. Celtic are linked with ex-Dunfermline striker Kevin Nisbet, but how many goals has he scored for Scotland?
1.
Correct. Can you tell us who it was against?
Netherlands.
That's
Dutch,
correct.
aye.
Well done. 1-0. Follow-up question for yourself. How many appearances did Nisbet make at the Euros for Scotland, Adam? Of course, we played 3 games, so there's
Yeah.
only a few numbers you can use here.
I'm going to choose the wrong one. 2.
We'll pass it on to McGinley.
That's 1 in it.
I don't think he played. I think it's nothing.
Fucking hell, you just gave me every answer but the right one, lads. It was 3.
You played every game?
He came on for 11, 4 and 6 minutes respectively.
Really?
Yes.
That's
He got on ahead of
embarrassing.
Turnbull. Wow.
Aye. Well, he's a striker, isn't he? He's
It's true. It's true. It's true.
McGinley, which championship club is sponsored by a cryptocurrency? We're all into cryptocurrency, boys.
Oh.
I'm minted it. I've put 50 quid into Bitcoin.
Have you?
Made 3 pence. Ballin'.
Championship.
I think
Yes.
I've got an idea.
Which
but
championship side? Rangers have got a cryptocurrency sponsor as well, but it's not like the main sponsor.
Crypto. Dunfermline.
Wrong. Do you know?
is it Aki's?
No, it's Ayr United, who are sponsored by Bitcoin BCH. Whoever the fuck they are. Back to yourself, Adam.
Indeed.
Tony Watt impressed last weekend with a goal and an assist. Name 5 of his former clubs.
Great. I would have got this too.
You would have as well.
Celtic.
You know your culprits.
Celtic, Airdrie, Hearts, Blackburn, and CSK Sofia.
That's it. It's 5 in it. Right, so do you want to try and guess the rest of them?
Liège.
Yep.
Standard Liège.
Correct.
Have I got them all? No. But have not all of them been
I
said?
can't remember what he says, to be fair.
So
Do you want me to just run through them?
started off at Airdrie.
Right.
Went to Celtic.
Yes.
I got both of
Then
them.
went to Liège.
Correct.
I think he then moved to Standard Liège.
Wow, you are a Tony Watt historian. Correct.
Knowledge.
Then he went to Hearts.
No.
No. He went to Charlton.
Yes.
I forgot
Then he
about
went to
Charlton.
Hearts.
No.
There's an English club in
You had a
between it,
couple of
Blackburn.
angles. Aye. And
Eh,
Cardiff.
So he did.
Right. And then Hearts.
Then Hearts, and then is it Sophia?
No, it was St Johnston.
St Johnstone, then Sophia,
Yes.
and
Then Motherwell.
not
Mad.
bad.
What
There you
a
go.
career.
How many points did I get for that? No.
17, thank
Wow.
you.
Kendall, you're getting scalped here.
I know. Right, Scotland are
Hold
due
on
to
a second.
face...
Am I not winning?
I think so. I've lost score. To be fair. Scotland are due to face Moldova this September, but how many points have Scotland picked up in their only 2 previous encounters with Moldova? So again, it can only be a few answers here. Minimum 0, maximum 6.
Really narrows it down.
Unless it's in the League Cup.
Could be 2, 3, 4.
Hey, come on, I'm going to rush you here, son.
This is tense.
Sorry, was this my question?
Aye.
Sorry, mate.
Oh my
sorry.
God.
I was.
I'm just sat here staring at them for no apparent reason.
Sorry, I thought this was Kendall's.
No, it's yours.
4.
Correct. You're right. So previous encounters, it was 1-0 and 2-0. They came in 2004 and 2005.
Because the 1-0 game was a bit of a shambles,
Stinker.
isn't it?
Aye. Much like the Luxembourg one a couple of years ago. We actually got a 97th minute winner actually in that, so there you go.
Wow.
Pumped off Kazakhstan though. The last Japanese player to score in an Old Firm is Shinsuke Nakamura, or Shinsuke Nakamura, you fucking dough ball. But how many total goals did he score against the Rangers during his time in Scotland? Adam. Probably should have been one more than the answer. But for a famous handball.
He scored the absolute worldie.
I wish I'd got this one.
Oh, I want to say 2, but don't know.
Is that your final answer?
I'm going 2, aye.
Correct.
That's because he scored a consolation against Rangers. It was a free kick.
Ah, there you go.
That was
I
in
didn't
the
remember that.
Mowbray.
Yeah.
Either the Mowbray season or the last Strachan season.
Yep. What 2 League One clubs are the furthest distance away? That's a hard one. That's your last question.
Between the two?
Yeah, like the furthest distance at League One, so you can.
Let me just have a wee look at League One then.
Right. I'll
think
let
that's
him
fair.
do that. I'll let him do that.
Right, okay.
He's no actually.
I'll be lenient because I think I've won anyway.
I think you have. This is a long one, by the way. So if you're
I've-
still listening in audio only, thanks so much. I know we've got some people that listen on Spotify and all the audio platforms. So thanks a lot for your support. Subscribe and all the rest of it.
I've got one club in my head, but I can't tell you who's the furthest away.
Is Cove Rangers one of them?
I can't answer that.
Cove Rangers and... I don't even know. I'm terrible with geography, Scottish geography.
Do you want to pass the question on? Or do you want to
No,
you may as well
might
give
as well
a
give an
stab
answer,
in it.
aye. Cove Rangers and Peterhead.
They're right next to each other.
Are they? I use my GPS.
You got
for it.
one. You got one of them.
Cove
So
Rangers. Oh, sorry.
Was Cove the one?
I can't tell you that.
Well, I don't get the point anyway,
no,
so
it's
what's it
not. It's
matter?
Peterhead, so it's the
But
other one.
Peterhead,
Aye.
and I'll guess Airdrie?
Dumbarton. Just a wee bit further. 201.8 miles between them.
It's a long trip.
Aye, it's quite a lot, innit? Last question for yourself, Adam. There is only one non-Scottish manager in the Championship. Name him. This should be easy. Sorry to put the pressure on.
Tommy Wright.
Correct. Very good for you.
You won that, mate.
Usually we go to a tiebreaker, but I forgot the score. What's the score?
Kendo's won. I know that for certain.
I was going to play this song, but I'll just leave it.
It's tempting, but don't do it.
It is. We'll just keep the tiebreaker, right? We'll just keep it because Kendo smashed you there.
He did. But I expect that. He
No,
is the
here
oracle
we
of the
go.
Scottish oracle.
I agree. I've got down here as well, lads, right? So obviously we're going to do a preview show. I want to get your predictions for next week and we'll finish it on that.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
We'll finish it on prediction, obviously for all the games. So the first one we'll go away is Motherwell versus Dundee. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to the Well. I think they'll continue the good form. Adam, what do you think, mate? Let us know in the comments as well what you guys think.
I'm also going 2-1 the Well. Aye,
Going on the Well?
I think they'll get revenge for the Premier Sports Cup.
Agreed.
One each.
1-0. Aberdeen County. I'm going 2-0 to Aberdeen. McGinley.
3-1 Aberdeen.
2-0 to the Dandy Dons.
Just agreeing left, right and centre here.
That's it.
Me
He's
and
won a
Kendo.
room.
So only a
Yes,
matter
please.
of time.
We're in a room. Unless freeze a crowd. Right, fuck me, this is getting weird. St
And it wasn't already?
St Mirren versus St Johnstone. You want to kick us off, Adam?
I'm backing the Buddies 2-1.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 draw. European hangover still for me.
Yeah.
Nothing each.
Hibs Livy, 3-0 Hibs for me.
4-0 Hibs.
Comfy 2-0.
We comfy 2-0. Have I missed any?
United Hearts.
United Hearts,
That's like a sacker.
1-0 Dundee United.
Thanks, mate.
Sorry, but I'm going for it. 1-0 Dundee
A
United.
third consecutive 1-0 United win.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a game where fucking Hearts don't score considering how defensive they've been playing. So I think this might be it.
Fair play.
2-1 Dundee United.
Thanks a lot,
Have
boys.
you got a, what did you say?
One each.
Alright. And finally, the big one.
God, my opinion of this has changed in 2 weeks, man. Crazy.
I'm going to leave my prediction.
Just seen it now.
I've got my fingers up for my prediction. Right,
Fair.
McGinley. Just a quick prediction, mate.
3-1 Celtic.
Fucking, I would order lots of bleach off Amazon if that happens.
We're attacking. We are so attacking now. It's looking good. It's looking very good.
We need to get
I
in
think
there.
there'll be. I'm actually going to change mine to 3-2 because I think there'll be tons of goals in this game.
Jesus fuck.
It's
Right.
going to be a roller coaster regardless.
I think this has
But
the
I-
potential to be the best Old Firm in quite a while.
But I also think Rangers have got the capabilities and the players and the coaching to make it a stinker
Long journey midweek as well,
and
mate.
just hang with it. You know what I mean? But anyway, Kennedy.
Don't like the look you're giving me there.
Mr.
Kennedy.
Rangers 1,
Oh no.
Celtic 2.
Wow. I mean, look at our prediction show that we done 2-3 weeks ago. The change is incredible.
Bold.
You got to be bold.
It is bold.
Back your man.
That could
Backhand.
that
Right,
could
I'm
well
stopping the
change.
recording now, man. I'm fed up after listening to that. Right, lads, thanks very much for watching. If you've made it through over 1.5 hours just talking, which is the length of a football game, we have had a few breaks in there to be fair, so we might be a wee bit under that. Thanks very much for coming in, McGinley.
An absolute pleasure.
I've enjoyed your company.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed yours too. And Kendall, you too.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Likewise.
I was
Happy
just going
families
to come
here.
into Kennedy there. Have you enjoyed your debut here in the studio?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Even better than I'd initially anticipated, mate.
Okay, thanks very much for watching TSF. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Vote for us in the awards in the comment section, the description below, sorry. And subscribe and all that good stuff. See you next time.
Cheers.
See you on Friday or whatever. Bye.